welcome everybody, man. Thank you for tuning in, man. This is Dynasty the Podcast Show. I'm your host, Ira Bush. I just want to say welcome. I just want to say I appreciate everybody tuning in. I just, every day gotta just maintain, just consistently show up and give your views on what's going on and what's not. First and foremost, this is a special day. God was born, Star was born. One of my favorite, if not my favoriteest person in the world, is neck and neck with my nephew and my nieces, and you know how it goes. So both, but I love my child the most. So it's my daughter Naya Melanie Bush's birthday. So happy that she can, she was born on this day. I can remember like it was yesterday. I would just tell a story, man, real quick how it happened. We went to the hospital. It was a great, from my point of view, the mother of my child had a great pregnancy. She didn't have no real complications or nothing like that. My daughter was almost 8 pounds, very, healthy. But, it's always some what you call it when you having a baby. So, she's unfortunately she did have a cesarean birth, but she was very healthy when she came out. So I was like, she was in like labor for like 7 hours. It's not fun. It's funny probably now if I tell a story to like family or close people, I'm telling it y'all. She was like, and then I was like, okay, she's not, her head is coming out, but she hasn't come all the way out. And they had to be like, I'm like, this is not, how that part when she's getting born, you're like, what's going on? How long it's gonna take? You can see, the doctor sitting there looking crazy. But I was so mad, I had got upset because I'm like, something could happen to my child if her head stay there like more than it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? It's a point where you're breathing from air and you're breathing from your mom, but the tube is still connected to the mom. But you can't have the heads just sitting there. So anyway, short to make it funny, she ended up having a little cone head for like 2 days, but it was funny and then it was just cool. My daughter was born. She left the hospital in the 2 days or whatnot. And, same with her mom, whatever the regular time for the cesarean patch up, and she's strong and healthy, and I'm appreciative of like all the the time that I spent with her. Now I'm just gonna tell y'all a few stories about just some of her birthdays and stuff. Cause like I said, I'm proud to be a father, so I don't mind speaking on these things. I don't have the energy to manipulate in this world of somebody's delusional mind of what it is and what is not. You know what I'm saying? I know what I done. I know how much fun me and her had, and all this and that. So I don't say too much about it. Now the one of the funniest stories is like, okay, I think it's a picture of my niece and my daughter at her second birthday, and it was a nice party. We threw. I think it might have been. I feel like we was in Boca. It might have been Deerfield. I feel like we was in Boca. I don't know what part that was. Might have somewhere in Broward, probably. I'm not sure exactly, but it was nice, birthday. But it's a picture of her and my niece, and it's like it was like their facial expressions was like, why you snitching? And I was laughing, and it was like kind of like Harmony, my niece is like such a like real protector of her brother and my daughter, and she's like, you always like, she don't really know. Definitely at that point, she didn't know she was like tattling or saying, but it was so both of them were so well spoken, and they tell each other, my daughter don't really say much when they doing like being children, but Herman was like some, and then my child looked back like, we're like, what's like, why you why you snitching? So it just was a good day. And overall, I love like just those experiences and those moments and those pictures that I take, and just being around them is like some of the funnest times I had. Now the third birthday, she went to like a water park. It was very great. I was just shocked that she was so brave when she went down the slides and stuff by herself. I thought because she was coming out of just being a young child into like, you know, when you get 3 or 4, you like know what's going on, but you don't know, you can't do much. And that when she went to the water park, she had a great time. I had fun with her. It was me, her, and somebody I was dating at the time. We had a good time, and you know, it was very nice. She enjoyed herself. And I think I didn't take her to Disney World. I think she went like 5 or 6. Her mom took her to Disney World, but you know, she been moving around. She's definitely heavy into fashion. So, you know, she loved the dress. She loved to like make sure like she matching and you know her little style and whatnot. So, you know, that's just my little story of my child. Um, I also wanted this experience, tell y'all some few stories about, you know, that's just my little spiel on her. Just happy, like I said, over this last week, just a time and moment, you know, of her birthday today. I'm getting back started on my podcast and doing my show, and like I said, I'm gonna be heavy into. I'm not gonna. I was being in that it's her birthday when I go down there this evening. I was gonna go to if it works out. I was gonna go, but I'm gonna take. You know, I'm gonna take. We're gonna go as a family, so I'm not going to go to the meeting. It's not going to be saying I want to speak at the 1 o'clock one was the one I was supposed to go to. I thought it was today that you get to go to speak, but it's not a big deal. I got plenty of time for all that stuff. Like I said, I called yesterday. I didn't call it the media lady who was over the corresponding, and they don't answer their phone in Pompano. So, you know, I guess we don't have a mayor in Fort Lauderdale, Pompano now. So, guess you guys could do what you want. Next week we're gonna go head down to we're gonna keep it central to Palm Beach. They might answer, they might not. I don't really care about them people. The mayors down here, so the sheriff, the mayors, the city people in Riviera Beach and West Palm Beach are frauds. I don't really like none of them. They probably all drug addicts. I don't care if they is, they ain't. Most of them seem like they are. Same with the patrolmen. The Riviera Beach patrolmen are pretty good. They come from out of state. A lot of them is like half and half. People that have been living there for a while. People that's close to the community. Riviera Beach patrolmen are, you know, they do what they have to do. You know, they only patrolling. But I'll be peeping that stuff. These people be in the school. These people be supposed to be looking out for the children. They're supposed to feel safe when they go into these parks. And, you know, like I said, Riviera do a pretty good job when they open things back up. They, you know, they tried to make everything all go take a test, go get a shot, and you know, they got back, you know, I guess the community finally spoke up a little bit more, and boom. West Palm is controlled by a lot of white supremacists. I don't got time to be one person, thousand of them, especially in the sheriff's department. I don't know what they got going on. I went up there today to get my fingerprints. There's nobody there but the receptionist. I asked this lady, I was like, I went to the one down here where they told me to go, and I'm at the recreation right now where, you know, over here to go to coach. And it's just like something I enjoy. I really love coaching. I really love teaching the game of football and basketball, and I could do other sports, but these two things I really enjoy. I don't have to live through them. I just like teaching the game. It's just that fun to me. It's not a big deal. It's like you practice an hour or two, especially with basketball when you're young. It's literally an hour or two at most, two for the youngest, and then for high school football it was 2.5 3 hours. And if you're a good enough coach, you know it's basically 2 hours. If you get your pre-practice in, you get your stuff done, you get your, you know, installments done, you get your individual drill done, you get your team groups 15-20 minutes, and you out of there. That's if you have a you already got your system implemented. So that's how I look at it. Like, I'm ready to get back into it. I don't like people holding me up. These people are trying to stay connected. I don't know. I've literally don't remember hanging with a lot of people in high school. I don't remember hanging with a lot of people in college. I don't remember even, you know, the connections I had in elementary school are so far past me. I go to my area and, you know, I look at it, there's nobody there, there's nobody really around. So all these stuff like that is just like, I shouldn't be tied down to nothing but my family. And none of my family I'm not embarrassed by nobody in my family. I don't have the energy to fight these white supremacists from different states. I've been single and celibate for 5 years. I don't have no ties or no nothing to nobody. Like this is literally what 4 years, 5 years, whichever, whatever range it is. I don't have to, abide in nothing. Like I have a safe driver record on here in Florida. Like I probably got a couple, fees that I got to pay for a train ticket or something, but I ain't stressing my mind over it. I ain't really, if they let me get in the door properly and be who I'm supposed to be in this area in the community, it wouldn't be an issue. So I'm gonna continue, like I said, I'm gonna tell a couple stories about, I'm gonna start off with, before I started coaching, I don't know how many people left in Propel or what they connected to the dude that ran Propel, the staff, when I got there, the board members, they were not around because they had issues that I didn't know, with them. I don't think they're the same people there. The dude who ran it was a pretty nice person. I got to meet with him one good time. He controls a lot of properties in Florida, and I'm pretty sure everywhere else in the world in these big groups. And I don't have it's no disrespect. I had a great time mentoring those youngins. They probably didn't think I was a mentor because I was so, at the teenage mode, but a couple of them I got to coach Little League, and I respect them still now. They're young men, and I'm just gonna tell a story how it goes. Like, a lot of, it was so funny. The person that brought me into that program, he didn't really sit in the church service. He kind of just observed, and we had our own service, so we didn't have to actually go do that service. It was ran in the church in a big gym. It was a multi-purpose gym, but it was a very nice facility. It's still there, probably, very nicely ran as a church. I don't think they do the Propel meetings there no more, but long story short, after the service, he come every Sunday now, and we'll have brunch. And how it worked was people will come in and speak to us, and make sure we stand focused in school. Make sure they'll tell their experiences on why they're not to make this turn or make that turn, and just motivate the young people who was there, which I was young. And when I got my shot to coach, I remember like it was yesterday. I had to pay for my background check. I had to pay another fee. It was about $200, $150, and then the person that brought me, I don't want to I could say his name, but like I said, I don't. I'm a young man. He's an older man. I don't have no quarrels and beefs with this guy. Whatever people might be looking at how it is, I got a lot. He took me around a lot of people in Palm Beach and in South Florida. And as you get older, you realize, they still got to eat off, they got to have, they got to eat too. And they got big families as well. So I understand that completely. And they have their own family, own children. So, I understand that completely. And I will never go against this person. This person still, I call definitely at least once or twice a year, just because I'm in position to be a very successful person in life. I don't care how many delays and roadblocks people put up. So it's not an issue to me when it comes to that. I don't feel like he stopped it, even if people around him didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? Or people he mentored, or how it go when you have the brightest light, or it's not. You got to kind of fall back on some certain things, and I have that complete understanding. When I speak, I try to speak to him in a proper manner. And like I said, I'm gonna tell a story. Like, we had a lot of, I was in it, like, let's just say I was right at that older kids, and there was older people over me. I didn't sit with them. I didn't hang with them. They didn't really know me. It was a couple people I went to high school with, and like I said, the person that brought me, his nephew was with me, and I hung with him a lot, especially once I got intertwined with it. I got a couple, it wasn't that big deal. I had a good time, especially in the beginning. Like, I was still in high school, and once I got out of high school, I got more involved as far as a volunteer, and the younger kids that was there, we used to take them to the court after we eat, play basketball. Those are some of the funnest moments. Just, in just doing it. I got to do a couple just like kickbacks, like little little sessions with these guys once they got older and they was going to high school, and they was gonna be their own. They have to look out for people under them, So I was happy to have these experiences, you know, and that's why I would like that to continue in the communities. I want to let y'all know that's how important it is, even if they don't have children yet. You eventually probably will. Make sure you remember just the small things, like giving back is not that deep. Like I know I'm not in my home area, but I'm just looking at it like this. They are, so it's even more for them, and it's a very important thing. They might not look at it when they're in their 20s or 30s, but when they're 40 and 50, they're like, dang, I did. I feel proud about leading that young person to this way instead of that way. So I just like, that's one of my favorite things, like how many people did make the correct choices, and they still got a lot of people backing them, and I'm not looking for that type of limelight. I'm looking to continue what I was doing because I actually enjoy it, and it ain't like I'm untalented. I go, I pull up at the court 101s. I be waiting for people to sit around the court. It don't matter, for 16 and up. I'm gonna ask you to play me 101. So, and my nephew coming down the ranks. So I got a couple nephews, but they coming down the ranks. They all between middle school and down, so they ain't even in high school yet, and it's gonna be real. It's gonna get real serious when it come down to this basketball, and hopefully someone will choose baseball and definitely football. So we got to get them geared up and ready to like just have that. I look at sport as just having a very competitive spirit, and I don't want. One thing I gotta say about how the world and economy is, I don't want these people who so called are in control of the financial, have the majority of it, and it's already shifting. If it ain't shifted already, the black and brown females have done a great job of putting stuff up and making sure these people that's been doing evil and corrupt things are crashing out. I see that from afar. If not other, and I'm gonna speak on it. I don't know about y'all. I'm not with the crash out crew. You know what I'm saying? They did what they did. I did what I did. I just gave you a quick rundown what it is. My child, my family, the kids I mentored, no matter what choice they made, more that chose the right way. And they still got time to make the correct choices. They all under 25, and it's gonna continue to grow. So if not, you know how that go. I don't have time. And like I said, if you are a sheriff or patrolman or a mayor or whatever council or congresswoman, whatever you is in the city, in the state, make sure you get on board. Cause like I have a real voice. I don't have fake. I didn't. My what do you call it? My influence was not fake. I don't care how many Facebooks they steal. I don't care how many Instagrams they had. I don't care how many Snapchats they closed down. I don't care how many emails they done stole. Mine's not fake. So once they see me, it's still love. It's still what it is. I still instill what I did. It don't matter. So, and people, it's so funny. People really like the eyes that I had back when I was starting coaching. It's like these people will come back from college and they'll be like, "Oh, I started at this position." I'm like, and I've been coaching for the last 5 years, so you still behind the 8 ball when it comes to this. And I used to laugh, but it was so many jealous. And once I went up in the ranks and continued to go up in the ranks, it was the same energy. It's like people like I'll fall back because I'm still an assistant. Like I don't have you're not the head coach. Every head coach I work for loved me, loved the energy I brought, loved the wisdom I gave to the kids. I never had no issue with a head coach or I'm saying like the head man I've worked for and been a part of staffs, they all know what I bring to the table. I don't care what they say behind my back. I know what they said in my face. And then there's the same energy with the assistants it's competition. That's what sports is. It's competition in the building. It's not like they want you to fail competition. It's that I've checked out as having the best position group so many times that you can never deny what I've done as a coach. I've helped people that's older than me. I help people that's younger than me. So and then I'm not a forceful person. I just give you what I got and then keep it moving. You ask me for help, I do it. And it's really about having a real sense of controlling the environment and being just being on point. And it's when you see growth and change for the better, it's a positive thing. So yeah, when it comes to that, I'm gonna tell a couple more stories. Okay, just the experience. Like one of my favorite times is like we had we had a couple this is probably towards the end of my tenure at Forest Hill, and this I can remember this so vividly. And we was this one, all my JV kids came, all the I was on both staffs. I was an O-line D-line coach the whole time I was at Forest Hill for varsity, and I was the JV head coach for at least 3 years. I'll give myself 3 years. I ain't gonna go back and I know how it went when people changed over and whatnot. I did my job, did my assignment. It didn't matter. I was there, Coach JV. I was a varsity O-line D-line coach. I was in the weight room more than any coach that was there during that tenure. I not stunned nothing that I did. The proof is you can see it on the wall. So I ain't really got to argue about that. When it comes down to it, okay, I'm telling about the story about just the day. It was everybody was, everyone came and supported that day. We did, whatever the goal was, we met the goal. And I didn't pocket watch my kids. Like I know how it was when we was younger. We went to the one watch the what it was fundraiser car wash we did was way more controlled than I had to do. And so the kids was like by the highway. I just had to make sure they stayed safe. So, the whole day we laughing, the people, throwing money in the cup like it's nothing, like $5, $10, $20, some of them. They all down over here. It was big. They was all the way down Forest Hill. If you know where West Palm is, Forest Hill is one of the main, the first exit coming from Lake Worth. So that's literally the first exit for West Palm Beach. So I'm telling the story. We laughing. Everybody, they texting each other. Probably, they probably had their own little group message. Whatever they had, they was all communicating. So I ain't really tripped when we met the goals. Coach did one trip and they was at the main building. Doing the washing. So once we got enough, we was like, yeah, man, we did good. I was like, I ain't finna argue with y'all. I'm laughing about it. I said, just make sure I got the change and money, I collected from them. I said, I'm gonna let y'all live. So we just laughing. It was a big senior group that year. It was a very good, cool senior group. And everybody, I ain't gonna it's been some years, but I ain't gonna put them out there like that. But we did our job, we met our goal, we got our new jerseys, all that was fun. But on the way back, I'm talking we was in front of the school. Like the school is so like how that narrow road is. They kids cross all the time, leaving school, going to school. I'm like, y'all see, everybody got jerseys on. So I'm looking like it's okay. It wasn't funny then because I was gonna have to fight some 6'3" and the girl got out of the car now. 6'3", 200 some pound linebacker, failed linebacker, and that's how he looked. And I'm only what 5'10" at time 5. I'm 5'9", 5'10". Now I wasn't even I was like 180, 190 because I was still in pretty good shape. So, I was like, man, like God, I was 180 probably. I was outside. So I'm like, dang. Like I was like, I almost had to fight for this. We getting charity. So what but he got mad just because it was crossing the road. It was backed up. It was light. Like I didn't understand. We had the car wash going. I wasn't comprehending, so I was just telling that story. It was pretty funny. Like, but my players like, what, coach, some of them jumped in. Like, it was so funny how locked in I was with those players, and I just had a lot of fun. And that's just the story. Like I was, and then another incident we did a park out here, all the way in Wellington off Forest Hill. That was one of the greatest days. A lot of them kids probably tell they children about it, and they gave back. So. I'm proud. I want them to, if they ever get to watch this, they could show their children how important it is to give back. And we did a lot of stuff at Forest Hill. And I the funniest thing, I didn't really need to leave because the staff kept me on, but they was gonna try to bring I did a good job to still keep my job. That's how I can say. I got actually, what? By that time, the coach had already really locked in with me. I can't say I had any quarrels or any bad. We went. I could tell that story too. After this, I'm gonna tell that story after this, and that was a year before. So I already had locked in with him, and and I always kept a real good rapport with him. So he brought his best friend in. We'll tell a story. We'll get to these stories later, but yeah, that was a great day. The kids gave back. A lot of the principal at the time all knew those kids from the urban area. She came from their middle school. They was redoing it, rebuilding it. Still a little pretty nice school. So they did a lot, and those kids laid the foundation for a school that was. I'm telling you, when it went from like diverse to very respectful, and I know I was a part of that, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm not, I don't have time to quarrel with the school board or any high level ranking member at Forest Hill that was hating on the football team. We was the coaches and we did our job. And it's all love from far as the football and my players my former players out there. And but another story, just putting in time as in your craft. And that's what I was saying. Like the year before, I had locked in. It was the offensive coordinator, or well, he wasn't the offensive coordinator. He was the run coordinator because the offensive coordinator was they was locked in. Coach K was already on his way. He was going to leave and go to a different school, and he kept everything in house. We hired in house. It was very easy to transition. It wasn't easy because it was up for him and the real offensive coordinator, but he still landed on his feet pretty well. He should have probably stayed there. Probably would have been way big now. A lot of stuff I'd be thinking about, but I ended up leaving too. So everything worked out for everybody. That's all I could say. And I don't know the people that I started with. Like he used luck. Like I don't want to put his name out, but those me having that. Them picking me up, driving in the rain in Martin County, meeting with, having our own personal coaches clinic on certain stuff that they run in the league, certain stuff that they, the terminology was like, just put it like this. The terminology is like old school, but the stuff that, that's how I learned. That's what made me reiterate that football is all about what you call it, kind of like. So he would we had like 2 or 3 hours. We ate lunch. It was a very nice day. It was just like a very like personal, just, and also we had a coaches dinner at the end of the year, and it was just a very nice transition of just locking in with these people. And these people taught me a lot about the game, taught me how to be a real head coach, taught me how to be a real coordinator. So I respect these people still to this day. I don't it's been a minute since I've seen most of them, but I still know one of my mentors work at. He's right around the corner. I checked on him. It wasn't that long ago, so I look at it like this. I've come from a very strong coaching tree, and I appreciate all these people that's still in the game, still doing their job, still doing it at a high level. Like I said, I can't really double back because everybody head coach, everybody got their own, it's branching out. And I'm definitely not from this area. I don't mind how it worked out. I would like to go back home and do it, but it's just like I said, so many, some from Facebook. I don't know what it is. Like, people was used to be popular and mad. I don't know. I look at it like that. It ain't the coach. It ain't. It's just like I don't have time to bicker and back and forth with it. So I'm more like on the I'm just happy I got these experience all these things, and that's all I can say about it. Now, once I left Forest Hill, like I said, I basically was begged to leave Forest Hill and go to American Heritage, which was not a bad thing, because but it ended up being like somebody being selfish, somebody being have their own motives to have me around. But I also got to coach out there in Boca and Boca Jets, and I ended up winning the championship during that time frame and period. So it was not bad. Like the same kids that I was telling y'all about when I was mentoring them were all a part of the program. And I got, still to this day, one of the players, he's right around the corner from where I live at. And me and him, that was one of I coached O-line, D-line. So me and him still tight. From my eyes, I can't get in no young people, world like that, but it's still coach and it's still, and they know what it is. Like I defend all that is with me, so I don't have time to go back and forth with no pettiness. I call it pettiness because it ain't got nothing to do with me, even if it's his situation. So You know, I support them in everything they do, as long as they raising their children, as long as they putting food for providing, which these people are actually doing. So that's the most important thing, and that's the thing that I taught them since they were younger. So, and you know, what they was around, at least they seen by example. So, um, but yeah, man, it's like I gotta tell. I'm talking like you see, every day is not gonna be the same. So you know, how can I say? Okay, I'm going down a timeline, so I'm about probably like 2014. This same time when I switched to Heritage, and my child was being born. You know, and you know, it was actually, it wasn't really stressful. It was just a change. Like when you have these changes like this, it's a big, and you know, I think overall it's gonna be better for me, and great for me just having, you know, during that time. But like I said, that like the people who ended up bringing me over, they still was like on some I don't know, that was a private school, so I didn't under the understanding of like why they felt like they need to kind of like chastise me when I was there, or you know, because the first year I didn't even mind with the varsity. I really just was, you know, trying to see how the program was ran. I did a great job with the middle school team. You know, I lowered my rank just to go to that school, but it was private. It was a different experience. I got to work the summer camp as well, so you know, it was extra cash on top during the summer while I'm doing off season training. But it was a lot of energy of like, you know, when people think they're better than you, it was very flagrant. And I didn't mind it because I didn't care. I already had, you know, I'm winning over here with my youngest still, and I'm doing a great job with your middle school program. The person begged me to come here. I didn't ask. I actually declined probably twice before I said yeah. So you know, but it was a great, you know, it was big tradition at Heritage in Fort Lauderdale and Delray. You know, a lot of great players come from both schools, go to the NFL, all that. All that played a part. I got to train a little bit on the back end, but you know, once I got through, when you know I did my 2 years there. You know, summer camp. You know, I did a good. Like, summer camp was love. I got to do the archery. I'd be the archery coach. I met some great people out there. Had some, you know, like I said, they paid me extra on top. You know, but it was all good. I never had an issue with none of these schools. And you know, once I seen how much who was the hater, you know how that go. Once you see the hater, you just gotta let the hater go. And you know, I helped the same person, you know, build their middle school, coach their son. You know, the same routine. People just want what you got inside you instead of just being who they is, which is nobody, because nobody talks about these people. And you know, I respect their son still. They want them out. You know, they played for me. I helped coach them. It is what it is. It ain't what it ain't, kind of. So you know, you got to move on. Now, but how I bounce back, you know, like I said, one of my strongest mentors, and I don't care how many family. I know he got a big family, you know, a whole country behind him. You know, I ain't. I can't compete. You know, he can only do so much. And he has children, so you know, I look at it like that. And but he allowed me to come over, and you know, with the same staff when I went to Olympic Heights, and this was when I say I was like prime, like I was at like when I tell you how good I was with the knowledge I had, and a lot of it I obtained from with them, and then I got even better when I was at Heritage, when I was at the varsity level. And you know, I helped all those levels from middle school to the varsity that second year. So, and those players, you know, still out here, you know, very high ranked people in the world. So I ain't even looking at it like you know, I can't look at it like, I'm not really like I can't explain it. So I'm good. My middle school kids love me, man. Like, you know, a lot of them, you know, I see you know, ran with one of them with in college. I went back to school, and we just laughed about how, you know, they young men still. I was like, y'all still in college. Like that's how still, like, you know, he probably got a degree now, but you know, all of them are pretty much still under 25. So I'm like, y'all even, you know, ain't even married yet, probably most of y'all. So just make sure you remember the basic stuff that you learned preparing. So when you prepare to be a full grown adult, you know, it's kind of a little different, but you still know how to be strong. You still know how to work out. You still know you need to wake up on time. You know, all these basic stuff you learn over your years. And like I said, I got that when I got back to Olympic Heights, it was love. It was like clockwork. I had the best group of young men on my O line, D line. I did junior varsity at the same time, and how we prepared our team. A lot of those players were starters. That I had such a little amount of JV players my first year with like 16 kids, and the starting quarterback was a starting wide receiver. My running back was a Z who started at Z, which got the ball a lot on varsity. So this is like a Z and F when you go for four wide. But I look at it like this: when we had our diamond formation, this guy was in the game all the time. So I'm looking at it like these guys are getting real reps and preparing. And I had a couple O linemen that was O line D. It was mostly O linemen, but these guys are in rotation on varsity. So we had a lot of players on varsity, but the JV was I had such a strong group, and these guys know how much I was heavily involved. I literally used to start practice on JV. I had like one assistant. They probably was like, the only time I really kicked it in high gear was like the day before, and we was preparing for the game, but they was preparing with varsity as well. So they got so many reps. It wasn't like I was neglecting them. So it was all good, man. That first year, and it was, like I said, once you start, really kicking it into high gear, the second year it was like boom, like now I got issues. I had issues with the administrator. They was like he's wearing a football. I don't know what kind of hat, a basketball cap. I was like backwards. It was just like it was making up like why I was the problem with me. And I didn't mind it because I was in such a good mode. Like I said, the older, when you get out of stress and, worry of just being a young parent, like which I was like 30 years in, I was in a very good, time right there. So it's just like me being a mentor, me being a coach, me being a parent, me being a father, uncle. I'm just telling you like experience, mentor, whatever, whatever they want to call me. And just like, I had a great time. Like I said, these people were strong young men on my D line, O line. One of my proudest moments is being able to coach somebody that went Ivy League, and one of my D linemen did go Ivy League, so I was proud of him. It was a lot of respect across the board on the defensive side and offensive line side. I don't really, everybody was really respectful about just me being a coach. I had a good time there. I didn't mind, what it was or what it wasn't. It just like I was an adult, so I did my job and went and left. It wasn't. It's all I had to do is do my job. That's how I trained it. That second year, we ended up, the team ended up winning against the Wire, which was like a very big feat in that history of Olympic Heights. Because you never, the last time they was even in the running of beating the Olympic Heights was early '90s. So getting it back to that program back to where it was. And we had a strong team the first 2 years, but that second year, like when I say that D line, I had the best D line in the county, and that's competing with the private school I had just left and all that. Like it was big, so I was very proud of them guys, and I just remember that type of stuff. So I went to Olympic Heights. Then I ended up, after I went to Olympic Heights, I worked this summer camp that 2 years during that same time. And then I ended up after I left Olympic, I went to I moved out to Tally for a year, and I had to get some stuff done. I had got put on child support, which I want to really explain and break down. Like it's not my choice or decision to do these things, and like I always look at it like if you study the history of America, this is what I mean by like white supremacists and all this stuff. It's not their fault that I got on it, but it's the fact that when you put somebody like me on papers, it's like they want to infiltrate you, your mom, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your aunties, everybody in your family. They want to attack just because you got put on papers. And then these people had a nerd. This is what I was laughing. I always tell this story about how, like, I'm literally giving back I'm already giving back. I'm already putting my time in. Like, what you want me to do? I'm volunteering. This. They don't pay me a lot of money to give this much energy to somebody else's children. You get what I'm saying? I'm basically feeding these people like high level energy, just speaking to them. Like this is people get paid real money for this. It's like what at a small school in college, what is it? 50K now, like you know what I'm saying, 28. Like I ain't gonna, I'm gonna just stop. You know, it's already 40 minutes. I had to do my show today, and you know I gotta still get focused about my child, but I sound like I'm being but you know it's pay the people in Florida. We need to get paid too. Like the coaches need to get paid, man. It's very blatant, it's very flagrant by how much they pay us. It's you know, I had a great experience coaching, man. I'm still gonna be a coach. You can't take those experience from me. And like I said, I gave you a quick 5 minutes, 6 minutes of like my child and why I do it. I don't want her to be around no weak men. We're not breeding those type of people no more. I'm not training no weak people. I'm definitely nothing going in. If I give him some my son, ain't nothing weak coming over here. You know what I'm saying? That the DNA say it's gonna be grade A+. So that's all it is. And you know, I don't want to speak too much about all that, but it's the natural, it's the way of life. I just can't, you know, how it goes is just like you gotta be like very thorough with how they try to manipulate people to be men to be feminine, and it's supposed to never, you know, not the only time you're supposed to be even the only time you're supposed to tone it down is when you are really trying to when you're speaking to a woman that you're trying to get to know, that you're trying to date. You gotta show her the softer side of you and all that stuff like that, or you spit to young females when you're coaching or teaching, and you're in a public manner of speaking and talking. Like you know, you don't gotta show over aggression to females and that. But as a man, men respect men. Like men respect the strength. Like they don't want to. Like I don't know nobody. Like if you psychologically believe you have to weaken a man to be around a man, that you have feminine traits. You have a feminine. You're. I can't call you what I want to call you, but you know what you is. I ain't never in my life sat with nobody. I'm talking about, I don't remember. I don't even recall. Everybody I was hanging with, and when I was younger, was real like dunking. We outside, we on the field, we racing, we competing. Like I don't even know. We played from sun up to sundown. When you go to school, when you leave the bus, it wasn't no joke. So, and that's the same thing when it comes to me as a coach. And that's what I did after I went to school. And then when I went back to my school that I graduated, when I seen how feminine people were, I didn't even talk to these people. So I ain't dissing you, but if you hang with the feminists, I ain't hanging with you. If you hanging with, you know, I ain't talking too much to you. You know, I dap you up and keep it moving. Then you can't get mad. We picked the two different sides of it. So it is what it is, man. Shout out to whoever, you know, left behind, you know, that really know the old guard, who know what it is, who was raised properly when it comes to just being a man. And, you know, I can't, unfortunately, like I said, I was put on papers. I got off of them. I'm so thankful. I don't, you know, I don't go and put no extra effort into like stopping the plight of my the mother of my child. I don't mind what she doing, but she cannot stop the plight of my child. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when I gotta intervene. That's all it is. What she do is what she do. What mine do, it ain't going for it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna eventually get to the bottom of it. That's just how I always been. I don't remember. You know, I can tell you, I don't remember being, you know, around nothing weak, nothing. And I ain't being over tough when I say this. Like I got targeted since I've been 8 years old, 7 years old. I could promise you that. So it ain't for the weak. And you know, like that's all I can say, man. This is a special show, man. Again, shout out to my child, Anaya Bush. Happy birthday. I love you. I care about you a lot. And I'm always putting light and life into you. I don't care anything formed against you, I'm blocking it, especially when it comes to spelling and hating and that old voodoo, whatever people got going on in this world. It ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm gonna protect you. Y'all know how I get. I'm outside around the corner, everywhere. Well, you know, it ain't nothing, man. I got. It is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. But thank you for listening. This was a great show. I got to talk real life, real talk. I wanted to go down there early and give her cupcakes and stuff like that. Hey, don't even. I ain't even worried. We're gonna go in the evening time. I'm gonna do like I said. I spoke to my mom about it. I'm gonna just do what she told me to do. So it's all love. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure I ain't getting to the part where I share. Like I said, nobody seemed like they listened to this today, but oh well, they'll eventually listen to it. They'll listen to little parts of it. To start sharing it on your own platforms and all the way over here and all the way over there. I appreciate how you get it out. It's just something to motivate and make sure you understand being a strong person in your community is important. So thank you for listening. I'm your host. This is Dynasty the Show. I'm your host, Ira Bush, and I appreciate y'all.